To our next discussion, millions of Nigerian children have never set foot inside a classroom, and regardless of every child having the right to education, the opportunities are lacking in many parts of the country, and this is due to poverty, insecurity, unending strikes, amongst others. Although education remains a critical tool for human capital development and the economic growth of a country, the killings, kidnappings, and untold hardship may just prevent more Nigerian children from getting into schools. Joining us now in the studio to discuss these issues and how to get children back into the school environment is the founder and CEO of IA Foundation, Ronke Adeagbo. Welcome to TVC Breakfast.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
When they talk about out-of-school children, there's a demographic to it. Can you break it down?
Right. Yeah. Actually, UNICEF has it at 10.5 million, but we know the numbers are higher than that. So let's just work academically with the 10.5 million. But even at 10.5 million, that is extremely high. It's one of the highest in the world. Why? That's not acceptable. There needs to be some sense of urgency.
You have to compare with the population.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 10.5 million?
No, when you say it's the highest in the world,
yeah.
In the statistics, you also have to compare it with those who are in school and those who are not. Yeah, so put it in the perspective. I agree that 10.5 is a lot. In fact, it's a scandal.
Exactly.
But we always have to put, when you say it's the highest in the world, you cannot compare it to Ghana and say it's higher than Ghana, because Ghanaian population is probably not up to the population of Lagos.
Yeah,
so I want to put it in perspective. That's what I'm saying.
Which is fine. But even out of a population of 200 million, if 10.5 million of your children, the future of the country, are on the street.
If 1 million
exactly
are on the streets.
Can you imagine how bad that is? We are complaining of insecurity now. We haven't seen anything yet. If we don't take care of those 10.5 million children, make sure we put them back in school, the security challenge we're facing now will be nothing. We'll have to be facing more insecurity, because the reason why we have this insecurity is that these children, years ago, that were on the street, that we paid no attention to, now have no skills to sell, are not employable, cannot set up business. So the only thing they can resort to is crime.
They can kidnap. That's a great skill.
Exactly.
Isn't it? So to kidnap and then to
get money. So
Mm.
why would any government not pay attention to this 10.5 million on the street?
Yes, that's why I say you should break it down. I mean, the demographics of this 10.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, that is, in Nigeria, we're not very good with our data. Yeah, so we have to go with what the international bodies are saying, and they are at the moment saying it's 10.5 million. Yeah, 40% of those 10 million are girls, because of cultural reasons as well. Apart from poverty, there's a cultural reason that girls are best used in the kitchen. Their skills are best
so
suited
we still
for
have
kitchen.
that mindset,
so we still
even
have that,
now.
Exactly.
When the president himself said they belong to the other room.
but then he would later come on now to talk about even his children having they should go to school, whether you're a boy, male or female. But then how does that transcend to the political will that the Nigerian government has towards eradicating this negative trend of out-of-school children?
Sure, a very good question. My personal opinion is that we have pockets of governance that are interested in fighting this issue. Some are not, there's no political will in some areas. A classic example, a governor that I dove my heart to is the governor of Borno State, Governor Babangana Zulum. He is 110% committed to dealing with this issue of out-of-school children. And I just wish other governors will emulate him. The Lagos State government as well are very keen about that. Just last week, we visited the Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, and she told us all the initiatives which Lagos State is rolling out to ensure they have zero out-of-school children. We are now partnering with Lagos to make sure Lagos doesn't have any children hawking on the street when they are meant to be in the classroom. Just yesterday, we visited, because we're taking the fight now to the local governments. We're partnering with state governments, we're now partnering with local government. Now we went to Ifelodun local government yesterday, which is in Ajegunle. We actually went on the street, picking up the out-of-school children, saying it's not acceptable. You shouldn't be on the street hawking, you should be in school. So what my foundation does, IA Foundation, is we pick them up, pay their fees, put them in school, and continue to monitor them till they get to secondary school.
Yes, it's an issue here. Although you've not finished breaking down the demographics, it's an issue here which is really real to the families of these children that you are picking from the streets.
Yeah.
They live by the day. I had an instance many years ago in near Ife, where a little girl was selling wara. I don't know
Cheese.
how to, cheese, yes, it's local cheese. And she stumbled and everything poured to the ground. And she said she was not going home because that was what the family
Would feed on.
was going to feed on.
Proceeds.
And the girl was crying. It was a place where we stopped by to eat. And I asked this girl, how much is
is it
all of
worth?
this? It was so ridiculously low. But the family depended on that little thing to see tomorrow. So I gave the girl the money. Go home to your parents. He was stunned and went home. When you take a girl like that out of the streets, and you say, go home, and they have no food to eat, who is talking about 1 + 1 = 2? When 1 + 1 equals death to them, are we prioritizing the right things? You have to eat first before you can listen to a teacher. How do you confront that kind of scenario?
Another good question. It's a chicken and egg situation. If that child is sent to school, that child will take that whole family out of poverty. So do they want to be in perpetual poverty, or they want to send 1 or 2 children to school and come out of poverty? The choice is the families. That child is a gift from God. We know so many couples who haven't got children. So if they didn't have that child, would they not survive? This is child labor.
Well, the child is part of why they have to cook. Well, it's another mouth to feed.
Yeah, but if you can't afford to have a child, why bring the child into the world?
That's another issue. That's why I say we have to prioritize what we want in this situation. We have to prioritize. We have to come with. Do we have a really well set out child policy in Nigeria? Do we have it?
And I think when he talks about the child policy, this would also involve the role of everyone, even the parents, even the parents too.
Absolutely. And that is why what we've realized in IA Foundation is that you need to sort of reorientate the parents as well. And that's why I said yesterday we were in the streets of Oshodi. We were actually going into houses, talking to the parents, stopping vehicles, telling them it's important that these children go to school. And then we made them understand the importance of them going to school. Again, it's about poverty. We are saying, you know what? We will pay. You don't need to pay for it. Some of them were thinking this is too good to be true. You know what? We haven't got a choice in this matter.
How many are you going to pay for?
As much as we can.
10 million?
As much
Or
as we
5 million?
No, we will do our bit. It's a part. Don't forget that education is the responsibility of the government. Yeah, the government cannot do it all. So we are just there supplementary to support the government, to ensuring every child has got access to education. What we can do is fold our hands and say, oh, there's insecurity problem in Nigeria. What is the solution? Making sure we pick up these kids and they get access to education is part of the silver bullet to solving the problem. So it's a low-hanging fruit, but we need to start somewhere. Go to the grassroots, pick those kids up, put them in school, pay their fees. Their parents have no excuse to say, oh, it's poverty, we have no money to send the children to school. We will pay. We will buy their uniform, buy their shoes, buy everything. They need to get education to take your family out of poverty.
But here in this part of Nigeria, what is the level or the kind of feedback you get from parents when you talk to them that, okay, you are willing to help, take some of the burden off their children? Because Sam raised a crucial point about poverty and all that. When the child gets back home, now there will still be the issue of what do I eat, what next, and all that. But what's the feedback you get from parents when you come up with your support?
Yeah, it's very interesting because initially they think this is too good to be true. Secondly, they will say, do you want to use their children for ritual killing? You understand? Secondly, they will say, you want to kidnap their child? They just can't believe you've come all the way from the UK and you want to go and help put their children. You don't know them from Adam. Why would you be doing that? You understand? So we tell them, you know what? We have this challenge in Nigeria. Do you like the way people are being kidnapped? No. So therefore, we don't want your child to be part of those kidnappers. And the only way your child will not be part of that is for your child to have good access to good education. And that's why we are here to do that. So we have to orientate the parents. We have to educate them to let them, because most of the parents are not educated, so they have no appreciation for education. So you need to work on the parents first, reorientate them, and then let them have confidence in you. And then they'll say, okay, you sure you're going to pay? Okay.
I know of a story of somebody years ago. It's not even now that things are this bad. Years ago, the person after school didn't go home because there was no food at home. So there was the classmate who the person followed home all the time because the person knew that food was guaranteed every day. Imagine if that person had nobody to follow home. You go home after the devastating effect of intellectual exertion. You go home and you don't have a plate of rice to eat. It's a very important issue. We have to look at it. That is why perhaps Ashuraju came with the idea of 1 meal a day at school, which is a very important thing. This government tried to do it, but the organization itself been flawed and corruption came into it. But it's a very good idea. Maybe that is one of the ways we can even tackle it. That, when you go to school, you have a meal. Kaduna State did it. And the children at one time, they will go there. Once they finish eating, they run home.
They leave.
You imagine. You see how crucial food is to education. Absolutely. So we have to look at that.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be an integral part of education. In those days, when we were in school, when I was in primary school in Ibadan, we used to look forward to lunch. I remember, I can see the color of the ebe we used to eat. I still see it today.
Which was provided for by the government.
Provided by the government. I didn't know provided. They knew that.
At least you were sure. Everyone was sure.
And we'll all go and eat. Yes. So what does that do? It makes you concentrate on what is important.
Absolutely. So where's the place of that in this problem strategy that we have to work on?
I must commend the government of the day about the school feeding program. I think it's an initiative they borrowed from the UK, because in UK they call it free school meal. So if you're from a poor family in the UK, you are guaranteed of your meal in school.
There's this footballer who was doing it. This Man U footballer. What's his name?
Is it Mane?
No, not Mane. This black guy.
Marcus
Rashford. Yes. He did it. Very, very great initiative to feed them.
Absolutely.
This is UK, not...
absolutely.
We even have another player too, I think in Senegal, who also introduced this. We are seeing more of this exposed individuals, who see how it is run abroad and even bring the solutions to Africa, that is in need of things like this.
Absolutely. And that's why people like me, I will be doing myself a disservice, because I had all my education in Nigeria. I now work in the UK. I'm using my skills there. I'm on a board of Street Invest, which goes all over the world, an international charity that goes all over the world, picking children from the street and putting them in school. And I come to my country, Nigeria. I've got 10.5 million children on the street. I've got to do something about it. What's the point of being in diaspora if you cannot help your country? Because some people are thinking, I took a whole month off work to come and do this outreach work. What's the point of you saying you're in diaspora, you're a Nigerian in diaspora, but there's nothing you do, you're not socially investing back home? You've got to. And that's why all these footballers and all these people have to do what they have to do. Because, human nature will say, Ango, you need to do your bit. And that's why we are doing our bit. But what I want to suggest to the government is that the political will needs to be there, because education should be a burning platform now. Right from primary all to the university, our children, we even have universities are now out of school, aren't they?
Yes,
Can you imagine what is going to happen to the future manpower of the country? We're going to have half-baked graduates. Graduates are not unemployable.
We already have them.
Exactly.
A lot of them.
Why wouldn't any government take this seriously? We've got children all over the place. In the UK, if you don't send your child to school, you'll be charged to court. So we need...
It's a law in Lagos.
Yeah, but children are still all over the street.
Enforcement might just, we still see them, though we see them racing when they see government, any glimpse
there
of
was an instance in one
coming,
office, I mentioned the place where a woman brings somebody from the village to come and work in her store. Her 2 children go to school. But this little girl is working every day. Then I go to this woman. You have to send this girl to school. You have to send this girl to school. It is against the law what you are doing. It is against the law. You better send this girl to school.
And her response?
She did. If the girl becomes prime minister tomorrow,
Exactly.
Good.
maybe I will have done something.
It does appear as all these are a dip in the ocean, because until government, government of the day, as you put it, look into all these areas and the possibilities for change. Which brings me to my next question, which is about even the 10.5 million or so now of out-of-school children in Nigeria. How well are we sure that this is accurate? A UK Don was even saying that there is a role of all this what we call mushroom schools, mushroom private schools, as against the more expensive schools. So we have a crop of Nigerians, of Lagos residents, for example, now who take their children to this much more cheaper schools, as against the public schools provided for and the regular private schools. How well is the government, working with these services provided by this very cheap kind of school system? Do they just discard them altogether, or shouldn't we incorporate them into the system to help these out-of-school children?
Right. Another interesting question, because as I said, we visited the Commissioner of Lagos, the Commissioner for Education in Lagos, for Lagos State last week. And she did say the number of influx of people that are flooding to Lagos every day is difficult to plan. Right? And these people come in with their children. How do you plan when, for a daily basis, people are flocking into Lagos State? She said the number of schools in Lagos State that are unapproved are a lot of schools. These schools ordinarily should be shut down, but they cannot afford to shut those schools down because there will be nowhere for those kids to go. So you are even better off in an unapproved school than being
giving them some kind of shelter, tracking them. Yes.
And the other thing she said, which I really loved, is that not every child is academically inclined. Now in secondary school, they are now introducing vocational courses for them, so that if you are good into tailoring, you go to tailoring. If you like plumbing, you go for plumbing. Carpentry, you go for plumbing. Even in secondary school, you start learning all those trades. Because some children, because they are not academically inclined, they run away from school. So it's like whatever you choose to do, whether it's vocation or academic route, there is a provision for you.
That's
so
a very
you've
good
got to
point,
get
because we all grew up being told that the only thing good for you is for you to be good in math, or to be good at English, to be good at any of those things. As if education was all about that. As if life was all about that.
Could only be
And that is why when you go to school, the person who was making all straight A's, in real life, the person at the bottom of the class turns out to be more successful in life than that person who was making all A's and so on. Sometimes the structure becomes too much. I read there was a book by Professor Sage about his life, talking about when he was in government college, he really wasn't doing that well and so on. And it only required just a few words for him to change, to become a smart student, to become the legal icon he is today.
Exactly.
So sometimes we need to understand how to bring this. Now, it brings me to one statistic you mentioned, that of the 10.5 million, 40% are girls, 60% are boys. And yet, we keep talking about the girl child. What of the boy child? I know that the Lagos State, the First Lady of Lagos, has been emphasizing the boy child. A lot of noise has to be made about that, because it is because we neglected the boy child that we have kidnapping. Yes. That we have militants. That we have Boko Haram. That we have banditry. That we have Catholic priests and that we have boys who create, those who go for riots are not girls.
Yes, exactly.
Those who go and destroy, who carry guns are not girls.
Absolutely.
They're not girls.
Absolutely.
So that's why I say we need a child policy. This idea of compartmentalizing it into girl child or boy child, which is good in itself because it focuses administration and so on. But we have to have an overall child policy, which should take care of. China had it. At one time they said, don't get more than two
Beyond
children.
two.
Yes,
because they are planning towards the future.
Absolutely.
But in a poor society, that's one of the things. This novelist, what's his name? Fitzgerald said. He said the rich get richer and the poor get children.
Exactly. Exactly.
But do you agree? Do you agree that there is a thin line now between, the ills of the day now and the fact that the boy child is largely ignored in parenting?
I wouldn't use the word ignored. All I know is that there's been too much emphasis on the girl child. And the society is just taking it for granted that the
boy child is okay.
The male child is okay, and the girl child will take. I mean, they're all equal. Whether you are male or female, we should all treat them equally and pay attention to them. The only thing I would say why the emphasis is on the girl child is that we have this cultural thing, and I experienced it growing up as well. If a parent has a choice whether to send a boy or a girl to school, they will prefer to send the boy to school. We need to move away from that mindset. We've got the likes of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala representing us on the international stage. She's a girl child. You understand? So what I'm trying to say to you, we've got Dr. Adesina as well. He's a boy child. So what I'm saying is that both sexes can actually operate on the same level. Both of them are operating on the international stage. So this idea of the girl is good, better in the kitchen, let's move away from that. Let's make sure they equally have good access to education.
I noted one time that they used to do cooking competition, the chef. Men were beating the women to the business. So why compartmentalize it so women better in the kitchen than men? Men can also go to the kitchen.
Absolutely. But the
they've not proven themselves, really.
But the insecurity challenges has also put a spanner in the works because parents now don't want to send their girl child to school because we've still got the Chibok girls they haven't recovered all of them. We've got the Dapchi girls because the girls are more vulnerable to kidnapping. So they kidnap the Dapchi, they kidnap them, take them away. So if I'm a parent now in the northern Nigeria, I'll be hesitant to send my girl child to school.
They took the boys too. They took the boys too.
They took the boys too. Exactly.
They took the boys too on the Great Walk. They kidnapped them in the north there in Katsina State when they went on the Great Walk.
But the girls
so there's a significant number of children in the north. But are we paying enough attention to the situation? Like, what are the options for children in the north?
Right. As I said, Babangida Zulu in Borno is doing a fantastic work there. I think one of the things he's doing is rebuild new schools. And one of the suggestions we made, because a couple of years ago, we had a seminar, a security seminar, which is one of the things we said is those schools in ungoverned areas, close them down, bring them to the city center, have a mega school, a big school, whereby when the bandits come, the children will even overwhelm those bandits. So that's what it's been doing. It's been building lovely schools, mega schools in the town city and making sure the kids are equipped with IT equipment so that some of them might even start learning from home with their iPad.
Zulum has done that. Shetima did that before he left. He did a lot of that.
Absolutely.
So Zulum is building on it. Shetima did a lot of that.
Exactly.
So
we need more of this to be replicated.
Because some state governors, as I said, we've approached Lagos State, they're playing ball with us, we've approached local authority. But some state governors, you write to them, they don't even reply. And it's like looking a gift horse in the mouth. We are saying we just want to bring resources from the UK and support your state to make sure you reduce the number.
Can you mention
I would not want to mention the state.
It's good for us to shame them. So that,
no, Edo State Governor, we wrote to him. He hasn't even replied.
Can you imagine?
You can understand. So even if
and this is Edo State where there are so many schools that have been abandoned, taken over by cows and all of that.
Absolutely.
And somebody here is trying to help you.
Exactly. And even if it's just acknowledgement that thank you, but no thank you, we don't need your help, that would suffice.
No, was it addressed to him or the ministry?
It was sent to him. It was sent to him directly. So we've been waiting for him because
perhaps it got lost in the mail trail.
So
busy with the Osho election.
The word perhaps, but I just wonder what could have gone wrong because, like you said, this is a very good opportunity.
Exactly.
And of course, it brings also the issue of dilapidated structures of schools, not just in Edo State, but then of course even in the Southwest. We have that issue. How do we also solve this problem? Make schooling attractive to pupils. Absolutely.
And again, that's one of the things the foundation is doing. There was this video that went viral in Makoko, where we had children singing in water. We saw that and we came down, worked with the school, built a borehole for them. The water they are drinking there is so dirty. This is what we're talking about, food. Water also, making sure you drink good water is important. So we built a big borehole for them. So all the people in Makoko, they are the children and all their parents, they have good, clean water to drink. The school has now been rebuilt. We've supported the school because the thing with the people in Makoko, they don't want to live there. Even the Lagos State governor was trying to move them out of there. They don't want to live there. So what it means is that you have to go take the school to them there, rebuild their school, and they are getting their education there. That's the way
that takes me to the issue of culture. Because culture is at the bottom of some of these arguments. What role is culture playing in this idea of people not going to school? Culture. I know we've talked about the idea of emphasis on male over female,
right.
but there are other cultural issues, religion and tribe and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a saying that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. You understand? So no matter how good the policies and the structures are, if you don't address the cultural issues, the cultural barriers, then we're going to have serious challenges here. So basically, we need to work on our community, on the society, to reorientate them, to let them understand the reason why we are in abject poverty is because your kids haven't been educated. If your child is educated, your whole family will come out of poverty. So it's about reorientating, educating them, because most of these parents are not educated themselves. So the government has got a lot of work to do in terms of this awareness. And that's what we've started doing as part of our strategy. You needed to see us yesterday on the streets of Ajegunle, trying to educate them that education is the way forward. You know, we need to do more of this.
This issue of culture, was a big impediment into the introduction of a free education in the Western region in those days when Awolowo introduced it.
Absolutely.
There was a great resistance.
Despite the fact that it was free.
It was free.
Yeah.
There was a great resistance.
Exactly.
I remember working on the story of a certain prominent person in Edo where it was talking about when he was going to school, they didn't allow him.
Right.
The grandfather always held a stick to stop the children from going to school. So what kind of thing is that? You go to the farm.
Well, lingering cultural practices well, it appears to be a process. We just hope that all hands will be on deck to making education free for all. Indeed, it's even the constitutional provision. But well, thank you so much, Ronke Adeagbo, for your comments and contributions on TVC Breakfast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.